Hi, everybody. We finally are driving and have the right microphone so we can record another episode of the podcast. And today we're going to be talking about the people that are getting into a relationship or actually getting married. And after they're getting married, they're figuring out things that are a deal breakers for them, right?
Yeah, I mean, for it's funny because as soon as I see like things like that, we seeing people that argue about certain things, and then
And they're actually big deal and they find out.
they're very big deal. But then I've seen actually those kind of questions and everything on when people go on the dating shows that we've seen on Netflix.
Yeah,
Remember, we saw a couple of dating shows to see whether like. Couples are compatible, and I mean
yes,
it's usually on the first or second day they kind of get to the bottom of kind of the most important things,
absolutely.
whether it makes sense going forward instead of going forward with somebody 4 years, 5 years,
And
7 years,
hoping
and
they're gonna
then
change.
it's not even about hoping it's going to change, but it's like one person wants one thing, another person wants a different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're already married, so that doesn't make sense.
And the funny thing is, like, I feel usually the biggest deal breaker are one wants kids, the other one doesn't have a kid, doesn't want to have kids, and then the one that wants kids is hoping after marriage or after a couple of years the other one will be agreeing totally to have kids. And I think this is actually very dangerous zone to go with, or to go in, like marriage especially, because if somebody doesn't want a kids and they're at a certain age, they're probably pretty certain they don't want to have kids.
No, but that's probably again one of the main things on, I mean, let's say dating somebody, want to find out this in the beginning. If you
Oh yeah,
want kids,
definitely.
then and it's gonna be a problem if somebody says yes, but then 2 years down the line they say no, and then
Yeah,
you're like,
I think we've talked about the comparison, like the being compatible before, when we were talking about our story and our marriage, and the lies people have been told is like opposites attract, and that is so not true. Because you're gonna tell me that if you a let's just say, from my perspective, if I am trying to be healthy and I'm taking care of myself and I'm working out and all those things, I don't think I can get attracted to somebody, no matter how amazing person is, like being lazy. Does it make sense? Like not liking to work out, doesn't like healthy lifestyle. I just don't think that can happen. Does it make sense?
yeah,
So when it comes to like those people on the reality shows, or they're actually already married and they have certain conversations that they're fighting about, and I was like, how come you didn't have this conversation actually on the second date or first month or first anniversary? I don't know. It's just crazy, and you're staying there and you're like, you have a better chance finding your partner on, like, some, like through a reality, even if it's a reality show, but they actually go through the psychology of you and the other
screening,
side,
yes,
and
screening.
they find out what are your goals, what are your likes, what are dislikes, what is a deal breaker, what is not a deal breaker. Obviously you're not gonna find the perfect person, like, because you gotta marry yourself if you're perfect. I mean, that can
But
happen.
I mean, when you look from this point of using, let's say, a dating site, or using a matchmaker, or like somebody that you gotta pay to do a job for you in terms of narrowing down what you want, what you don't want, and stuff like this. Because then, I mean, let's say in our case, if you married for somebody for a very long time, but then we didn't meet through Match.com,
No.
obviously. So then there are some things that even probably up to date, we probably little things that annoy the other person
Oh, absolutely.
about it, but
But
then
they're not deal breaker.
they're not deal breakers. So it's kind of in a way that some people that, again, I want 5 kids, and the other one says I don't want kids, then there you go, just look the other way. I mean, I'm even thinking you go on a speed dating situation,
Yeah,
you just go in a room full of 20 people, and then in 10 minutes you can find out who wants to have kids and who doesn't want to have
absolutely.
kids, and then don't, and you can
Yeah.
circle back around and figure out
and
what
also
else.
and also who is family oriented and who is not, who is career oriented. That's going to be a deal breaker too, because you as a woman, if you're family oriented and your husband is only career oriented, it's just like you're always gonna suffer. You will always fight with your husband that you want him to be present, but he's a career guy and he just
Yeah,
chose
but
that
there
way.
is always the part where I see it all the time. I mean, the husbands are working, the
Yeah.
moms are hanging out, and they're totally fine with it.
Well,
Maybe
yeah,
that's
depending.
what it looks like, but who
Maybe.
knows?
Yeah, I
Maybe yes, maybe no. I don't know if it's okay to be
I mean,
together every.
if I feel the women that are okay with their husbands not being present are the women that cannot stand their husbands. It's like, if 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 I love you and if I find I love being around you and having spending time with you, how would I be excited if you're not around me? Like if you're going for days at a time, and you see what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
but I mean we don't really know. I mean it's
we
a
know
weird
what we know.
situation because that's another thing, and the other issue that came around was like living in the city versus living in
Living
the
in the
suburbs.
suburbs, yeah, yeah,
I mean, some would assume not going to be an amazing or a crazy deal breaker, but for some people, it's like
well,
I've seen and known people that would be like, okay, I want to live in Midtown Sacramento
yeah,
because it's more lively. I can go out. I want to meet different people. I want to hang out. I
yeah,
want to feel the social part of it. But then at some point, I mean, it's there is probably way to make things happen,
yeah,
but
absolutely,
then I've seen people, let's say, do it with okay, once a week we're doing this, right? So Sacramento had this thing with every Tuesday or every second Tuesday of the month there was always everybody goes and hang out there. So then maybe you can get a babysitter for that time
yeah,
if your family if you really want to hang out. But it's one way or another, your social circle kind of changes once you have
absolutely,
kids. It's like you can have this whole your whole group of friends that you always
yeah,
kind of hung around, but then once you have kids, things change.
absolutely.
It's you still want to keep doing it, but then you kind of sense that it's
You're
like it's a struggle
it,
because
you can't.
at some point you want to be like, oh my gosh, I want to have fun, but I also want to rest. Otherwise, it's
You cannot
none of them will happen.
function. But and the bottom line is actually, obviously some things can work for certain people and others not. But I feel like when people are being honest and open for conversation, and if they feel like this is a deal breaker, you just have to close that door. You can't just keep pushing and hoping the other person is gonna change. And I feel like sometimes because we like, I mean, even let's say when you're younger and you fall in love with somebody just because of the looks, and this is the wrong person for you. You definitely know it's a troublemaker. See, in my perspective, can be a bad boy, whatever that is. You're just attracted to the look, not the brains, not the who this person is, just the looks. And that's where the issue is. Like, this person will never be loyal to you. He'll always cheat. It's just like, just turn around and move on. But just make sure you have those conversations. But really, like, it's really interesting, like, how people never had those conversations. It's just, I don't know. It's mind blowing to me because this is the first thing you need to ask. What do you like to do for a living? What is your goal in life, or something like this, right?
Yeah, because then the other thing is like everyone can have a different hobby and things they like, and maybe the other person may like it or may not like it. So
Yeah,
then sometimes it may be a struggle when one person pulls the other one into what they like and they may not like it whatsoever. So it's
absolutely.
really there maybe again is like somehow again that's where match.com comes into place
By the
where
way, we've never been on Match.com. We're just mentioning it because they're advertising it.
no, but I've known people that have found their husband or found their
Yeah,
wife through match.com and they're perfectly together.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. um and the things that when you mention with the hobbies, it doesn't mean that, like, let's say for instance me and you have exactly the same hobbies. We actually don't have
no.
the same hobbies. I mean, as much as we are alike, we're different in a sense of, like, I mean, I can actually speak about our differences. I love to be organized. Chris is not. Chris loves to watch soccer. I'm not a big fan. We love sports in general. I watch soccer maybe with him, but I'm not a big fan of soccer. Um, You like to do barbecue. I don't like to do barbecue. I can do soups, I can do any kind of, like, whether it's a dessert, whether it's any meal on the oven, stove, whatever, but not the barbecue. You love to make sushi. I don't think I'll be liking to make sushi. It's too much work, I feel. I don't know. I love gardening. You're not really big in the gardening. You like the grass. And that's what I'm saying. It's like I feel we're comparable. I mean, we've been married for, we're gonna be 20 years, right? Right now, yeah, this year. And it's not like you definitely have to do exactly the same thing and love the same thing, but there's certain things that are a big deal, and I think that's what makes it. If you're an outdoorsy person and your other half is not, and
I
then,
mean, things are compromisable
Yeah.
this way. I mean, the majority of the stuff that you gotta figure out. Hey, I want to be buying a house. No, I don't want to be buying a house. I want to be renting my whole life.
yeah,
Well,
that's a problem.
it's a problem because then
Yeah.
all the other financial things, like is it gonna be a 401k? Is it gonna be a Roth IRA? Is it
What are you gonna
all
do?
those little things where it's like it's really, because again we had this conversation of, would you like to buy an investment property or want to buy a bigger house? So there is this kind of,
Yeah.
there was this little miscommunication at some point where you got to figure out again what makes sense in the long run instead of just what's going to make
Absolutely.
sense in the next 3 years only.
We always say, is it a need or is it a want? And in most cases, it's a want, and we still want to get it, which doesn't make sense. But anyway, I hope you guys had fun. We're gonna have more podcasts coming, and if you have any questions or anything you want us to record or talk about, let us know, and we're gonna have guests. I promise you. I promise. It's just we're trying to line everything the proper way. Thank you for listening. Please follow the podcast, follow us on Instagram, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.